Have you ever wondered what a medieval army actually looked like? Forget Hollywood movies where thousands of knights in shining armor charge at each other in an open field. Real warfare of that era was a strict hierarchy, where your place in the ranks depended on your purse and your skills. We can divide the medieval host into four distinct tiers, from simple peasants to an elite whose equipment cost as much as an entire village. The first and most massive tier is the peasant levy. These were ordinary locals called to service by their lord in the middle of the harvest season. They had no professional training and certainly no fancy uniforms. Their armor was at best a thick quilted jacket stuffed with tow or horsehair. Their primary weapons? Whatever was lying around in the barn. Repurposed scythes, pitchforks, or simple heavy clubs, often slightly modified for military use. The luckiest ones were given spears. They were cheap and allowed them to keep the enemy at a distance, providing at least some resistance to cavalry. The role of the levy was unenviable, digging ditches, guarding the baggage train, and being the first to face a cavalry charge. Mortality rates were sky high, and discipline was lacking. However, levies could be effective during sieges, controlling the perimeter.
At the second tier, things get more interesting. This is where the professionals appear. These were men for whom war was a trade and their only source of income. This included the famous Swiss pikemen, Genoese crossbowmen, or landsknechts. These warriors already had decent protection, leather armor, chainmail inserts, and steel helmets. They knew how to hold a formation and didn't scatter at the first sight of a knight. Crossbowmen could pierce heavy armor, making them extremely dangerous opponents. The infantry of this tier used halberds or long pikes, the perfect tools for pulling riders off their horses. Mercenaries often fought for whoever paid more, and their loyalty was a matter of cold, hard cash. However, their experience and discipline were the core around which strategy was built, and at certain stages they made up the bulk of the medieval army. Mercenaries were effective in both attack and defense, capable of holding the line and effectively countering even heavy cavalry. The third tier consists of minor nobility and heavy cavalry. These men trained from childhood to become the true elite of the army. Sergeants were often professional warriors from modest families serving at court. Their gear included full chain-mail, brigandines, and closed helmets. They rode excellent war horses that were fortunes in their own right. This was the striking force of the Middle Ages, capable of delivering precise and crushing blows, obliterating unprepared enemy infantry. They mastered the art of maneuvering in small groups. This tier provided the primary striking power in most skirmishes. For them, war was not just a duty, but a chance to secure trophies and ransoms. A ransom for a captured enemy could set them up for life. At the top of the pyramid were lords, dukes, and kings themselves. These were not just warriors, but mobile strategic hubs. Their armor was the pinnacle of engineering for the time, often decorated with gold and engraving. Such a suit was practically invulnerable to an ordinary sword or arrow. However, their main task on the battlefield was command. They were always surrounded by a personal guard of the kingdom's finest fighters. The banners and heraldry of this tier served as landmarks for the rest of the army. A king's mere presence on the field boosted morale to the skies. But if such a leader was captured, the war usually ended instantly, which is why kings rarely entered the fray first. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new history breakdowns. Leave a like if you want a video about the tiers of Napoleon's army, and see you next time.